Welcome to the Temple of Enki. My name is Max. I am the temple priest and oracle of Enki and the Sumerian gods. And in this video, I'm going to be disclosing the secrets of the Mayan calendar. So let's get started on what is the Mayan calendar. So the Mayan calendar, as you can see, is in a way a wheel. It's a wheel of time. It's a wheel of cosmic unfoldment. The universe becoming aware of itself. So the universe becoming aware of itself is interpreted across various traditions, such as Kundalini awakening, right? We have Ragnarok and Norse mythology, gods versus giants, the clash between good and evil, right? The superconscious and the unconscious. But there's also various other myths that this pertains to, such as the great old ones, like Cthulhu, like Azathoth, and these deep sea creatures. But how does this all relate to the Mayan calendar, you may ask? And I will tell you. Before the Mayans, before the Aztecs, before the Sumerians, before the Hindus, before the Scandinavians, before the Africans, there was a one world civilization. And this one world civilization was called Atlantis. According to the Mayans and the Aztecs, their mythical origin land was called Aztlan, which is another name for Atlantis. When Atlantis fell, due to a wide series of experiments and black hole technologies, particle accelerators, etc., there occurred a fall, a distortion within the heart of the world, and this created a schism, if you will. The heavens and the earth became separate, and the magic of the earth became distorted. It became corrupted. And so, as consciousness began to descend, 5 mystery schools were established around the world. The Tibetan, the African, Mesopotamian, Scandinavian, and Mesoamerican. These became the 5 channels from which Atlantean knowledge was given to mankind and the civilizations that came after the cataclysms, after the fall of Atlantis. Over time, some of these beings that want to keep humanity asleep, in the sleep state, in the dream state, start to hoard the power for themselves. They started to create barriers between mankind and the gods. And so they created priesthoods, and they created more and more hierarchies. They infiltrated societies. They came to mankind, these non-human entities that I speak of. They came to mankind and they deceived them. They taught them wicked practices such as human sacrifice and child sacrifice as a form of attaining power over the dream state, over Kundalini. And we can see this throughout the ages. This was adopted in Egypt. This was adopted even in Scandinavian tribes. It's adopted heavily in the Mesoamerican civilizations as well. Also the Africans. But I assure you, the roots of these practices never supported or condoned such defiling of life. These were practices that were introduced to humans by non-human entities, and they disguised themselves as the gods to mankind to then harvest them and to use them like batteries. And to mankind, this force, these beings have been known as reptilians, giants, Nephilim. And while there are many races of giants, and while some giants tend to be little more humane than the others, there is without a doubt that this world has been governed by these forces. So with the Mayan calendar now coming to a close, coming to its state of completion, what's going to end up happening is the world leaders that are panicking that humanity is awakening and the world is awakening are going to have to humble themselves to the fact that they're not exactly going to be in charge. Because the truth is the gods are returning to the earth. That's the truth. The world leaders are going to be replaced by the Anunnaki kings and queens. And there's going to be an upheaval of sorts. And this is not going to be necessarily a bad thing, but it is going to require patience and diligence. People are going to need to understand why things are changing so fast. And it's mainly because the people that have been running this world have been child traffickers, child molesters, cannibals, murderers. These are the type of people that have been pulling the strings of Earth for thousands of years. So the change is going to be quite swift. It's going to be very dramatic for a lot of people. And it's going to force people to kind of wake up. And that's another secret of the Mayan calendar. The wheel spins until it creates an energy vortex. And that energy vortex, in essence, is creating light. The wheel of karma is spinning until your eye opens. So in a way, you are the Mayan calendar. It's the 12 zodiac. It's the gods of Olympus returning to Earth to illuminate the core of the Earth, the soul of the Earth. It's a resurrection of Tiamat, the dragon goddess of the earth. That is what is being awakened. So when you're looking at the Mayan calendar, the center figure is the soul. It's not just your soul, but it's the soul of the earth. So the black sun at the core of the earth is awakening. We are now becoming aware of time itself. We're returning to timelessness. So the people that have been in power have been doing these sacrifices, have been teaching humans for generations now to perform these sacrifices, distorting the fields even more, have been doing this to simply keep people in the square aspect of your consciousness. This is also seen in Freemasonry, where you see the compass and the square. The square represents linear time, like the ruler. It goes from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6. It's a linear time. There's a beginning and there's an end, right? That's why they want us to be on social media, doom scrolling. They want us to be waiting for the next thing to consume in these cycles. They don't want us to have control over the cycles, okay? And the cycles are governed by the compass. So the compass is creating a circle. It has no beginning It has no end. So what happened in Atlantis is now coming full circle through the Mayan calendar. The trauma that was experienced in the earth is now coming full circle. So a lot of the root chakra trauma of the earth, a lot of the child trauma of the earth is going to come to the surface. All the child sacrifices, child trafficking, all of that's going to come to light. And the reason they're actually performing these sacrifices is because when they perform these sacrifices, they're extracting the child's essence, which is the pure, closest thing to God. It's pure source energy. It's the eye of God incarnate. And these great old ones, if you will, these sea creatures that control the world from the subterranean levels, are directly connected to this higher frequency. So whatever is reflected from the waters above, that child energy, those sea creatures, those sea monsters, they observe and they create the world from the subterranean plane. So these sea monsters, if you will, like the Leviathan, the Kraken, they're real. And they, in a way, are the collective unconscious. They are the great dreamers of the subterranean planes. So there's going to be a convergence, and it's going to be quite dramatic and even painful for some. A lot of people are going to go through a grand disillusionment, and they're going to realize, oh my God, my life was a lie. Oh my God, that celebrity I was looking up to is a pedophile. And people are going to start to see, oh my gosh, I was the soul. I was the inner child. I was Ein Sof. I was the crown of God, the eye of God. And these people have been creating hierarchies for thousands of years, separating me from my pyramid, right? And you're going to be like, wow, I was the power the entire time. And so these petty sacrifices these people have been doing, cutting their hands open, opening portals to God knows where, materializing objects, they put it right in people's faces. These things are going to come to light, and everything's going to be exposed. Everything's going to be out there in the open. And what's going to happen after that is tremendous, because people are going to start to awaken to the fact that, wow, this type of magic exists. Oh my God, everything's just atoms. Oh my God, my brain can control pretty much anything that's around me. Oh my God, right? You're becoming aware that you are a sunlight, that you are the eye on top of the pyramid. So it's going to be quite an amazing event, and it's going to be quite timeless. Like, we're returning to timelessness. We're returning to a state in which our dream world is merging with the physical world. So we're becoming homo luminous. Not homo sapien anymore, we're homo luminous. So we're becoming light bodies. We're going to learn to, in a sense, connect back to the crown of God, to the Hunabku, the great giver, the cosmic deliverer, Narayana, Vishnu, Kalki, Lucifer. We're learning to connect back to this cosmic force that was disconnected from humanity, from the tree of life in the Kabbalah. If you look at Kabbalah, you know, what are people teaching? They're teaching Kether is the highest, right? The crown. That's only one aspect of it. There's 3 layers above that that people completely ignore. And that's where your true power is. So this whole Mayan calendar is about connecting with that crown that is above your head, not just in your head. The crown in here is just a vessel for the light of the crown above you. So this is the crown of Olympus, Ein Sof, the dragon's eye. It is the crown of Enki and the king of Atlantis that rules the earth and the oceans. So the waters above and the waters below will be uniting through Enki within the age of Aquarius. And the unification of this field, if you will, the pole shifts, are going to allow people to practice magic, like real world magic, without the need for sacrifices. That's going to be the beautiful thing. And once people understand how to connect to the crown, they're going to be able to tap into this luminous biological technology that can form and create reality through manipulating the structure of atoms. So there is going to be also a return of the Aesir gods, the Norse gods, such as Thor, Odin, Freya, Loki. And this experience of this cosmic alignment, of this Mayan calendar, has been fated for a long time now. And it's happening sooner rather than later due to various reasons. But it will be happening, I guess, within the next 2 to 3 years. I'd give it less than 3 years, honestly. And the Norse gods will also be assisting in this process, as they will be finishing off the remaining of the Jotnar and the Nephilim that did not make the jump, that did not choose to evolve, that did not choose to raise their energies back into purity. So there's going to be clearing of those energies as well. And the people that have been torturing children, that have been sacrificing children, vampirizing innocent people, those people are going to be met with severe consequences, jail time. There's going to be massive riots. And people are not going to know what to do. Some people are going to go completely crazy, like anarchy. And, that's a part of it. We're breaking free from very old constructs, and we're returning to a timeless state of being. And we're really learning to tap back into that eye, just pure consciousness, pure awareness. And this paradigm of being in the light body has been prophesied by various traditions. Like I said, there's Ragnarok, end of the Mayan calendar. There's also various other traditions too. So we have Kalki Avatar, return of the final avatar of Lord Vishnu, where he rids the world of all evil. He comes to the earth as Lucifer with his 4 horsemen in the apocalypse, wielding a flaming sword, riding a white-winged horse, right? Same thing with Christ, the second coming of Christ, and Armageddon, same thing. And we again have the same prophecy in Arthurian legends, known as the Age of Albion. And this is something the Knights of Camelot worked really hard for, and their lineages continue till this day to usher in this event, this change, this transformation of the earth. So I guess the most important thing to really tell you here is that no matter what happens, you simply have to meditate with the gods. That is the best advice I can give you regarding this transformation as it is taking place during this time. The whole pandemic thing that happened was a part of this transformation. It is the coronation of the Anunnaki coming back to Earth. That is why it's called Corona, for crown or crowning. It is the return of the crown of Olympus. or the crown of Atlantis, whatever you like to call it. It's the return of Ein Sof, the I am Sophia. So it's the part of you, the childlike part of you, healing through this timeless sphere of reality. So we have a linear aspect of reality and we have a timeless aspect of reality. And they're going to converge, and there's going to be a global inner child healing. So the number one fear a lot of humans are going to face is the rise of these sea monsters, such as the great old ones, leviathans, etc. There are some sea monsters that will rise that are under the rule of Poseidon, that will not be harming any humans. But there are some that are still very chaotic. There are some that still want to destroy humanity. And those are one of the things humanity is going to have to trust the avatars of the gods to handle. So when these sea creatures start rising from the oceans, leveling continents, leveling the oceans, what's going to end up happening is you're going to have avatars of these gods, and probably other beings as well, trying to calm this energy from rising too quickly. So you are awakening from the state, but because you have a subterranean aspect of you connected to these monsters on a DNA level, these sea creatures on a DNA level, they're also awakening from the dream state. So imagine it like this. They say every star in the sky represents a human soul, right? Well, it goes deeper than that. Every human also represents a monster or sea creature in the sea. So as the stars are awakening us, those sea creatures that are keeping humanity in the dream state, in the deep state, the deep sleep state, when they start awakening, they're going to start to rise too. We're jumping into the celestial plane by awakening through starlight. They're awakening to the terrestrial plane. So as we're rising into the celestial sphere, they're rising into the terrestrial sphere. So it's going to be quite the event, and there's going to be literal avatars on Earth. One of the main gods that are going to be helping with us here is Enki and Thor, mainly warrior gods and kings. They're going to be helping with this process of taming some of these beings and to also help humanity. So as we are taming these monsters or sea creatures, we're also going to be educating humanity on how they can acclimate to these changes without creating chaos and damage to themselves. So it's a way of shedding karma. Those sea creatures are shedding karma, you're shedding karma, your parents are shedding karma, everyone's shedding karma. And it's going to be quite amazing. And another thing that's going to be happening is the ice walls are going to start melting. So creatures from other lands outside the ice walls are going to be starting to interact with our lands. And if you don't believe in the ice walls, then newsflash, they're real. And there are various lands outside of the earth. It actually has many rings. And the giants, or the frost giants, Jotuns, have played a huge role in maintaining the ice, in keeping humanity frozen from truly awakening. So this great flash, the return of the solar logos, the solar Christ, is melting the ice, literally. Breaking the ice, melting the ice. So that's why you have a lot of these people like Bill Gates and the WEF and all these environmental globalists worrying about global warming, global warming, global warming, because they don't want those ice walls to melt. Because once those ice walls melt, humanity awakens. So there are two more things I'm going to be sharing here with you regarding the Mayan calendar. And it's that, first of all, don't freak out. There's nothing to be afraid of. But there are two things. First thing is, when shit hits the fan, there will be extraterrestrial assistance. They are very aware of the things that are happening on the planet on a timeless level. So they're aware of the past, present, and future at the same time. And they are helping with this resurrection of Atlantis, if you will. So there's going to be extraterrestrial assistance. A lot of these ETs are going to be helping humans acclimate to the changes on the planet. So do not be freaked out by them when they start landing, when they start coming here. They are here to help. They're here to educate. And they're here to satiate the human DNA. Another thing people are going to start to awaken to is to the fact that we are the aliens. And we are living in an experiment in which extraterrestrials come here and they experience karma, human life, soul lessons here. And that's going to be a whole nother type of disclosure, because people are going to start shapeshifting. People are going to be like, oh my gosh, why do I not look like my human self? It's because you were only visiting this human body and you were never actually the human body. So we're going to start actually becoming the aliens themselves. That's pretty much the biggest disclosure. We are the aliens, and we're simply remembering ourselves by clearing the ice of forgetfulness or amnesia, if you will, the Maya. We're breaking the ice. So the gods are going to return. They're going to teach humans, the worthy ones willing to put in the work, actual magic, free from all the bloodletting and all that. And there's going to be a very big upheaval. And the sea monsters are going to rise as the dream state, the Bifrost, the Bindu descends into the world. As the gods come into the earth, the monsters are going to rise, and there's going to be a reckoning. So the waters above and the waters below are going to merge, and there's going to be a great flood. And it's not just a physical flood, it's also a flood of plasma from above the firmament. So to put this into perspective, I will paint a picture for you. The gods at one point planted this earth with beautiful beings, nature, an ecosystem that prospered, light, sustainable energy, right? Toroidal energy. The three worlds, the stars, the earth, and the underworld were one. And then the gods left. They retreated. And once they were gone, these beings decided to come in. I'm like, okay, the gods are gone. Let's come to these beings now. And let's, be like, okay, we're the gods. We were the gods. And we're going to teach you how to, kill this baby and to harvest its organs and how to harvest his soul energy so that you can stop the sun from destroying the earth. Right? This whole thing, this whole story, dilemma. They taught humans these things. And so what came after that? These giants, that started to teach humans how to manipulate energy through these voodoo rituals, plucking holes into reality through child sacrifice and things like that. These, in a way, unnaturally put an information field into these subterranean beings that affect mankind subconsciously. So think of a corporation. That corporation might have witches and warlocks running the show behind it, performing sacrifices to these monsters beneath the ice that are connected to the human subconscious. So you think, a brand that's blowing up or a fast food chain that's really tasty, and you keep eating there, not necessarily because it's tasty, but because of the brand it represents, or buying their clothes or merchandise, whatever, because of the brand. It's because behind it, there's witches and warlocks sacrificing shit so that these monsters can hypnotize the world subconscious from the subterranean, sub-reptilian levels of your consciousness that affect your reptilian brain to instinctually buy into their corporations, into their entertainment structures, into the 3D matrix they have created by feeding these monsters or sea creatures to have power over the earth on a dream state level. In ancient Egypt, the Egyptian government, the kingdom at the time, they would use dream spells to literally monitor their citizens. Now imagine what they can do if they know how to use the dream state to harness power. Everything you think you know, all the corporations, the celebrities, the athletes, the clothes, the designer stuff, everything is going to crumble. Okay? We are becoming aware of ourselves as these deep sea creatures, as we are also becoming aware of ourselves as the stars above, incarnate into these human bodies. So it's like a 3-layer awakening. So this time we're coming into, the age of Albion, the end of the Mayan calendar, is where magic is going to be restored. The earth magic, sacrifice-free magic, is going to be restored. So these people that have been performing sacrifices for thousands of years, all they've been doing is simply borrowing energy from the future and bringing it to their past. So if you look at royalty or any secret societies that had power in the old days, that had practiced these type of things like sacrifices, they gained those powers because they are borrowing that energy from the crown of Olympus, from Ein Sof, from the childlike energy that's going to be radiating through the earth in the future. They're borrowing it by sacrificing. So they, in a way, try to do destiny swapping. They take the child's energy so that they can experience wealth and abundance and power and magic. And that's why they are terrified of you. All humans. They're terrified of humans awakening to their true potential and their true power. So this Mayan calendar awakening is, in a way, restoring the compass aspect within mankind's consciousness. So it is the crown of Olympus descending, coronating, reactivating the pyramids, reactivating those grids around the earth to then, in a way, it's like changing the batteries to a clock. The clock was stuck before, and the gods came back. The coronation took place. The corona took place. And now the clock gears are turning again. And a massive derealization is taking place alongside that. And one last thing I might add is the return of the dragons. So, dragons are very great friends of Enki and the Anunnaki. The dragons are going to be helping mankind with integrating the celestial consciousness with the subterranean sea creature consciousness. So they're going to be helping us with healing the distortion between the sea creatures, the chaos monsters, and mankind with the stars and the gods. So just the way we live above the ocean and fishes and sea creatures live below us, the same way the gods view us. They live in the cosmic ocean above, and we're kind of like sea creatures to them. So the dragons are going to help us master these three pillars of consciousness: the underworld aspect, the Terran aspect, and the celestial aspect. So celestial, terrestrial, and telestial. Another thing that's going to be taking place in a more indirect manner is the healing between Maldek and Tiamat. So those that do not know, Maldek, another form of Marduk, slayed Tiamat. Tiamat became the earth, and Marduk was the king of Babylon and taught humans Kabbalah and all this stuff. The path of the flaming sword. Marduk was seen as the path of the flaming sword, the right-hand path, the very masculine Martian. And the Tiamat aspect of the earth, which is subterranean, was regarded as the Qliphoth. So there's going to be a healing between the tree of life and the tree of death. So the Maldek and Tiamat energies are going to be healing, and that's going to be play a big role in healing the root chakra and claiming the earth. So yeah, Tiamat, Dracosophia, the draconian aspect of the soul of Sophia that fell, is going to come back into its resurrected state at the crown. Now, as far as ritualistically speaking, this process is very harsh. It's been harsh on me. I'd say it's also been very blissful at the same time. I don't want to make it sound very negative. It's healed me in a lot of ways. It's purged me in a lot of ways. And I have a set of spells that are in line that I may or may not share with people based on the guidance I get from the gods. And based on that, we're going to be, creating some major change. But if you want to help yourself with acclimating to these changes, start performing the spells I post on the Temple Patreon. These are very exclusive spells. They are channeled from the direct tongue of the gods. So it's very different from normal Sanskrit or Druidic words or Norse words. These words, these incantations are unlike anything people will ever see. It's the language of the light body in a way. And once you start chanting them, you start to experience those channels in the light body. So if you want to start acclimating to those changes now, I highly recommend using those chants. And that's the whole purpose of this temple. It's actually to help people acclimate to the changes that are going to be happening. It's to help people to learn to breathe plasma. I've actually did some time traveling through astral projection into the age of Albion, and the plasma in the air becomes so clear and refined that people have a hard time breathing. So I have a channeled plasma breath incantation on my Patreon. Feel free to check that out. I believe it's on the free tier, but it might be on the neophyte tier. So make sure to check that out. So yeah, make sure to check that out if you want to learn to start breathing plasma and acclimate to the changes a little more smoothly. So what is this going to look like? Okay. What is this going to look like for the Earth? For society? What really concerns you? First of all, when it comes to monsters, I wouldn't worry about it. When it comes to these sea creatures, don't worry about it. What I will tell you is, though, if you put in the work to purify yourself, to connect with your heart, to embrace presence instead of thinking, what's going to happen next? Looking for the next thing to consume, you're going to fry your nervous system. So embrace presence, connect with the soul star above your head, cleanse your body, purify your soul, okay? And this is going to help a lot. And at the end of it, once the gods fully establish themselves, there's going to be a kingdom of God on earth. So just the way it is in heaven, it's going to be here also. That's probably going to be the biggest lesson here for a lot of people to learn, is that how would you live if you were already in heaven? Because it's going to be a choice. The frequency is going to ramp up so much that the physical world, the time, the toroidal time difference, time-space difference, the boundaries of time and space regarding your body and your consciousness are going to start to dissolve. So whatever suffering you're putting yourself through, like the hustling game, the grinding game, and all that, that's kind of going to dissolve, you know? If you're in heaven, you don't need to do any of that. In heaven, you just create it with your mind. That's how they created the pyramids. It was a co-collective creation. Everyone used their minds and assembled those pyramids together. It wasn't through slaves or physical labor. We're going to learn to create the world together. So we are going to be a collective consciousness. We're going to become a global consciousness. Okay? So it's going to be quite the experience. I really hope you make it. And, you know, I wish you all the best. I think if you're already on this channel, you're going to make it, if I'm going to be honest. And yeah, I wish you all the best with this process. If you need any help with it, if you're going through it, if you have any questions, book a consultation with me and I will answer away. But that's all I have to say regarding the secrets of the Mayan calendar, the return of Enki and the Anunnaki, Ragnarok, the battle between gods and giants, energy vampires, and the restoration of the inner child of Earth. So, that is all. If you enjoy this video, make sure to like, comment, and share. Leave your feedback in the comment section below. It's always appreciated. Any questions, video suggestions, make sure to drop them down there. And don't forget to check out the Temple Patreon for those exclusive spells. Good luck with completing your Mayan calendar. And till next time.